You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
We answered, I think, 6 questions yesterday on the show. A lot of fun answering questions from rapid weight loss and being very stressed, issues with inflammation of the stomach, gastritis, ketogenic diets. We went over Blair upper cervical therapy, talked about osteoporosis, even at a young age, and what to do to help boost those normal estrogen levels. Then we spoke about atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, inflammation of the arteries. So check out that show if you didn't already check it out. That was episode 1394, and today is episode 1395. StephenCabral.com/1395 will take you to today's questions over there, so you can kind of read along, see what's coming up next or what we're reading at that moment, and then also you'll be able to see all of yesterday's questions as well as 1394. So without further ado, I kind of want to dive into today's show, and hopefully you know the format of the show. People write in, they ask me their questions at stephencabral.com/askcabral, and then I answer those in the order they've come in. So these ones right now are from October 20th, 21st, and 22nd we'll be able to get to today. So again, we're about 5 weeks or so behind. I've been as far behind as 10, 12 weeks when there were a ton of questions coming in, and I think we're doing a better job at answering those at cabralsupportgroup.com. Anytime you have a question, you don't want to wait 6 weeks for the answer from me, ask that right over at cabralsupportgroup.com. Okay, so let's dive into the first question. The first question is from Jacqueline. My 8-year-old daughter is struggling with some mast cell issues. We've been to multiple doctors and can't get a solid diagnosis. They diagnosed her with hyperpermeability skin, and then another doctor diagnosed her with chronic idiopathic urticaria. Right now I have her on Zyrtec, which has helped her to eat more foods without getting itchy and also help with constipation. The weird symptom is she spends lots of time outside in the sun, and the next time she eats, she will get itchy, dry arms. It doesn't last too long. I just put an anti-itch cream on, and that seems to help. I'm trying to heal her, but every functional test I've done on her, stool, oat, and mold, have come up with issues: bacterial overgrowth, Candida overgrowth, C. diff, H. pylori, blastocysts, mold toxicity, food sensitivities. She's so sensitive to almost every supplement we've tried. How do I help her if she's so reactive? How do I keep the faith that she will be better one day when we keep having all these setbacks? All right, Jacqueline, totally understand, feel for you. I was that kid as well. I mean, for sure. I had, which is called mastocytosis, which is the same thing. It's as mast cell dis-ease of the body, where your body's producing too many mast cells. For those of you who don't know what mast cells are, just think of them as like histamine-based responders. So when you have allergies, when you get itchy, and you get hives, so that's why you've been given nonsense diagnosis, in my opinion, right? Hyperpermeable skin. Well, what does that even mean? It means nothing. Your skin is porous anyway, meaning hyperpermeable means things that touch it are allowed to enter into the skin. Well, yeah, of course. It does that for everybody. I mean, that's the way that it works, and it goes directly in your bloodstream. And then if your body already has more mast cells produced, more cytokine-based response, well, you're going to have a larger histamine-based reaction. That's normal. That's what's going on in your body. Same with chronic idiopathic urticaria. That's just doctors trying to sound smart, okay? That's why I don't like to even be associated with the entire medical industry, and I'm not. And the reason is this, is like, what does it mean? Chronic idiopathic urticaria. Chronic means more than 4 to 6 weeks, so longer lasting. Idiopathic means we don't know. We have no idea. And then urticaria means essentially hives. Okay, so you have hives that have been going on a long time, and we have no idea why. Oh, so that's my diagnosis. Hives for a long time, and we don't know why? That's not a diagnosis. And I was given many of those myself. So hence the frustration that I'm coming at this with, right? So here's the thing, though. You've already figured it out. You already know why this is, and it was the same reason for me. When you have intestinal permeability, and you have all this Candida overgrowth, all this bacterial overgrowth, you have H. pylori, you have parasites, you have all these different things, and these things are seeping into the bloodstream, it enhances the immune system. You might say, well, that's a great thing. Enhanced immune system. No, it's over-enhanced. It's overdoing it. It's over-responding, hence the hives, the itchiness, etc. So what do we need to do? And heat in the sun can actually cause more of a histamine reaction. But your body naturally degrades histamines through an enzyme called diamine oxidase, which is DAO. But the way that it does this is manufacturing it through the intestines. And the way that our bodies eventually calm down is that we seal up the gut wall. So what we need to do for your daughter, 8-year-old daughter, is remove the excess overgrowth in all facets. And I had the same. I had bacterial overgrowth, Candida overgrowth, and I had H. pylori. So in the mold. So what do we need to do? Well, the first thing we need to do, because again, you'll never calm the immune system. You'll never calm really the food allergies, and you'll never boost the immune system to get rid of the mold and all that if we don't seal up that gut. So we need to remove the offenders, the pathogens. Then we need to seal that gut wall. Then naturally your body will have less to fight because every time you eat, you're not seeping new foods into the bloodstream. So right now the most aggravating foods are going to be the heavy protein-based products, especially meat and dairy-based products, and even eggs, unfortunately, because those are the things that are going to be the most offensive to the body. I'm not saying this is good or bad or anything. It just is. Just is. Okay? So that's what we need to do. We use the children's CBO protocol. That's what we do. And then we use the CBO finisher at a children's dose to seal up the gut wall. Now, again, I'm not giving you a treatment protocol. I cannot cure, treat, or diagnose disease, especially on a podcast. That's not within my scope of practice. I just wanted to say that. But this is what I do in my practice. This is what I would do with my own family. So that is the way out of all of this, Jacqueline. And I know that you're going to be able to do this. It seems frustrating, and it is. I'm not saying this is easy. But you'll be able to do it. I have no doubt about it. All right. Dar is up next. Now I don't drink alcohol very often, but when I do, it's usually a special occasion like a wedding or birthday party every couple months where we probably tend to have 5 or more drinks in a night. I guess that's considered binge drinking. How bad is it if it's only a few times a year? Well, it's a good question, and it's kind of like, well, how bad is it if I smoke 2 packs of cigarettes in one day, but I only do it a couple times a year? Well, I mean, you could do any scenario, right? Like, well, that's really bad, right? Running a marathon is actually really bad for your body. Honestly, really bad for your body. How often do you do it? How long do you train? I mean, if we're talking about twice a year, it's, in the grand scheme of things, probably not the worst, right? Probably not the worst as long as you're a healthy human being. You are going to set your body back. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you're going to want to have a little recovery the next few days. I can't recommend doing it, of course, but better than doing it every weekend. Better than having 5 drinks every week, for sure. Like, for sure it is. But yes, it can be very damaging to the liver. So I can't recommend it. I mean, what I would say is this. I mean, honestly, like, again, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, really, correct me if I'm wrong. After 2 to 3 drinks, 3 drinks max, after 2 to 3 drinks, I don't think that you will have enhanced pleasure after that. That's just what I try to share with people. I'll have 2 drinks because the first one, maybe you can, if you're like me, you can make that last an hour for sure. I can make my drink last an hour. So let's say you make it last an hour and you're like, well, the night is still young. I want one more drink. You heard me in the previous podcast. I would say have a drink, then go soda water, lime, splash of cranberry, do a drink there. You're still with friends. You're still hanging out. You're still having a good time. Maybe go to the bar by yourself. Ask the bartender to make the drink look like a real drink. That's it. Your friends ask you, oh, what are you drinking? Well, I'm drinking a little soda water, vodka, splash of cranberry. If you want to ease that little vodka in there, you're welcome to. It's up to you. Or you can be like me. Listen, the secret's already out. My friends, people already know that. They see me with that soda water, cranberry splash of lime. They know there's no alcohol in there, but it's like an ongoing joke now. But I still might have a drink. Like, I'm not against that. And again, so then after your non-alcoholic drink, you might do a regular drink. And then after that, maybe, make that last another half hour to an hour. Then you do another non-alcoholic drink. Like, you keep going. Not only will you probably have way less of a hangover, you're still enjoying yourself. It should be about the company and not getting completely obliterated, right? So like you can't even remember the night. Remember the night. Enjoy the company. Now maybe it's just because I'm getting a little older. I can say these things. I can hear my 20-year-old's self saying like, "What are you talking about?" But again, experience. I want to enjoy, and I want to be alive the next day. So anyway, it's completely up to you. In my opinion, a whole lot better than doing it every weekend. But certainly do be careful when you start to have that many drinks in one night of what it could potentially do for liver-based damage, etc. Okay. Now, having said that, I don't know. I think probably a lot of these people on this podcast have been there. That I was certainly drinking like most college students when I was in college and a couple of years after that. And there's no doubt that was affecting my liver, my immunity, my overall health. But, that was also in my early 20s. If I were to do that now, I think it would be even more detrimental for sure. All right. So Raya is up next, or Raya. It's R-Y-A. It's a longer question, so you can read the whole question at episode 1395, stephencabral.com/1395. Hi there, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for all you do. After suffering for decades, I found your podcast and I have a new sense of hope. I'm unfortunately worse than ever after seeing functional doctor and naturopath, and I'm scared. I'm a 34-year-old woman. Long story short, so I'm going to ad-lib now. She was on proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, which is acid blockers, for 20 years. She said she finally weaned this year. She's developed vertigo, vestibular neuronitis, daily migraines, head pressure, ear itchiness, leakage, fullness, orthostatic hypotension, histamine intolerance, and more. 6 months later, she said she gave up dairy and gluten, and then all the symptoms vanished. 6 months later, the symptoms returned, despite being off the dairy and the gluten. She's had various labs run. The doctors are at a loss of what to do. She has some hormone-based imbalances, adrenal-based supplements that she doesn't tolerate as well, live on very humid and moldy islands. But her symptoms started well before she moved here. She's looking to lower histamines. I spent countless time and money and effort healing, and my debilitating symptoms continue to worsen. Functional medicine doctors, etc., just keep putting me on standard protocols that work for 99% of people, but I'm the 1% that needs very customized. The worst part is I still have no idea what's causing all of these symptoms. I actually don't have GI symptoms except for GERD. Side note, my younger sister developed celiac. My mother developed similar symptoms and starting perimenopause. It must be partly epigenetics. Thank you so much. Okay, so certainly there's some genetics, involved here. There's no doubt about it. However, that's not the issue. So to me, what it seems like is this. You just name them, okay? What do you have? Vertigo, lightheadedness, vestibular issues, balance, etc., migraines, head pressure, itchiness, some leakage, some orthostatic hypertension, which means lightheadedness upon standing, histamine intolerance. It's not dissimilar to our friend previous. We're talking about potentially some gut-based issues or at least absorption issues. Now, let me clarify this. If you were to run a test called specific gravity, it's done with urine, there's almost no doubt in my mind you would be below that, probably 0.010, maybe even just, again, low on overall minerals. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of charge in the body. And this happens over time from a chronically based stress person. Again, I was there. So, the only reason I know this is because I was so bad. I just like you, what did I do? I went to all the King's Men. I always call it all the King's Men, and nobody could put me back together. That was it. And so specialist to specialist, natural health doctor. Finally, I just start reading about all of these different things, what is it? Bioregulatory medicine, Ayurvedic medicine. Then I start to meet my mentor and other great people, and I just go deep on it. And then I realize, there are levels to this. Gotcha. Yes, most people will get well with a functional medicine detox, a daily foundational protocol, shifting their sleep, like what I talk about in the rain barrel effect. That will work for most people. So you can't say, I can't afford this, I can't afford that, because you absolutely can. We're talking about $5 to $10 a day maximum will get you what you need. And then you can even wean down to $3 a day for a maintenance-based protocol. That's going to be enough for most people. And you can't tell me that you don't spend $5 a day for most people. Now, not you listen to the podcast, but people out there, $5 a day on an Egg McMuffin, on a latte, on a cold brew coffee, on whatever. I'm telling you, you can shift. You can make that shift. But anyway, I want to get off my soapbox for 1 second, and I want to let you know this goes at a deep level. This is how the nervous system works. You're most likely clearly depleted of electrolytes. You could run the Big Five to show you these things. I know you've run a lot of lab tests, and believe me, I understand where you're coming from. I spent way more money than I care to share on all of the different doctors and practitioners and lab tests and supplements and vitamins, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. I used to drive hours to practitioners. Literally, I would drive from Massachusetts, in Boston where I lived, or right outside the city, and then I would drive to New Hampshire, or I would drive to Maine. I've driven to New York. So I get it. Like, I totally understand. Let's go at a deeper level. Let's look at this as absorption issues with chronic stress. You most likely have low levels of sodium. I mean, you have orthostatic hypertension. So that's why we need to rebuild the body. We need to reduce stress, re-improve. I'm going to just use that as a word. It's not a word. But rebuild absorption and digestion. Easy, simple to digest meals. A greater amount of sleep. More parasympathetic nervous system-based activities. Follow the de-stress protocol. I mean, to a T. Work on emotional balance. Work on the success mindset so that you calm the fight or flight. And then, no doubt about it, I mean, again, stay away from the foods that are sensitivities for you now, but rebuild that gut lining. Like, no doubt about it, rebuild that gut lining. If you've run it was formerly the organic acids test, now for us it's the Candida metabolism and vitamins test, and then run that parasite and bacterial stool test. Run it. If something comes up, we're going to find it, okay? Then we're going to give you the protocol, rebuild the gut, and slowly, over a period of 3 to 6 months, we're going to rebalance the body. That's what we're about, right? Because we're not treating disease. We're looking at what is it in the body that's creating disease. People say inflammation. I say, yeah, I don't disagree with that. But what's causing the inflammation, right? People talk about histamines. Listen, I get it. I suffered with histamines for over 30 years. What's causing the histamines? Okay, that's the question I should have been asking. Yeah, I love the enzyme DAO. Love it. It's great. What's causing the enzymes? Why don't I have enough of my own DAO? Sure, some of that can be genetic. No doubt about it. I produce less of that. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about it. I'm more prone to mastocytosis. But I don't have it now. Why don't I have it now? Well, started to work on the things that allowed me to reduce my mast cell production, lowered my high histamine foods, and rebuilt my gut lining. And I want the same for you. So that's what I'm recommending. All right. Penelope's up next. Hi, Dr. Brawl. Thank you for all you do. I listen to your show every day, and you have become my go-to for any health and lifestyle-related questions. I have one of the first Apple Watches created, the one without the direct cellular connecting, but has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And I've become nervous about wearing it for fear that it is harming me in some way. I was hoping you could help me determine whether this fear holds weight or not. I would love to wear the watch for all the tracking benefits. Can you speak to the pros and cons of wearing these smartwatch devices? Thank you so much and have a great day. Penelope, thank you. You know, it's people like you who listen to the show every day that mean so much to me because you're why I do what I do. You've helped support me by listening to the podcast, so I appreciate you. Least I can do is try to help answer this question. So here's the thing. I wear smart-based devices as well. I don't wear the Apple Watch. There's a couple reasons for that because I can't comment on every Apple Watch. Here's the thing, though. If you go to stephencabral.com/podcast and you type in EMF space meter, EMF meter, you'll find out the EMF meters that I recommend. So you'll have the answer yourself. Put on your Apple Watch, put the EMF meter to it. Is it emitting a high amount of electromagnetic frequency? The answer is yes or no. You can do that for AirPods. You can do it for anything you'd like. That's what I do. I test things. So it may change in the future, but right now I'm still wearing my Oura Ring. And you didn't hear me do a full review on that. Just go to stephencabral.com/podcast OURA. That's all you have to type in. You'll find it. So here's the thing, though. It has an airplane mode. When I have this on my finger, it's tracking me through its little, I can't even think of the name of it right now. Well, it's gyro mechanism and it's infrared and all of that. But it's not producing EMFs. Then what do I do after a day? Well, here's the thing. Or at the end of my day, I can do it at any time. I put it back on its charger and it automatically takes it off airplane mode and I put my phone right beside it. So what does that do? Well, it's away from my body, and now it's transmitting the information from my ring to my phone, and then all my data gets pulled up. Then I put it back on airplane mode at the end of the day before bed, and then I go to sleep, and it tracks my sleep. And then when I wake up, I take it off. I put it on that charger again. Automatically, it pops it off airplane mode. If people don't know how to do that with their ring, it's the top right button, and you just click airplane mode. Super simple, because health people like me requested this, and so they created it, which is really great. So now I'm able to get all of my data without the negative effects of the EMFs. And again, I've tested this as well. Now, if the Apple Watch does that, well, then you're good to go. You're perfect. I mean, if you're getting text messages on your wrist, for sure, it's connected to, obviously, cell phones and all of that. So need to weigh the pros and cons. I'm really worried about these things because it's never any one thing. It's the constant bombardment and EMF, electromagnetic frequency soup that we're living in, and it's only going to get worse with 5G. So that's what I do. In the future, I mean, I've said this before, so I'm making it very open. I want to work with companies and build the greatest biometric-based device that anyone's ever seen. The tracking on it, I want it to be ridiculous, so that this information can be transferred to a practitioner like myself or anyone else that knows how to study this, and then they can give you not a customized program, a super customized program, and they can see where you're going off track, which nights of sleep are best, what were you doing that night, what did you have to eat that night before dinner, what did you have for nutritional supplements. Like, I'm going to be able to track everything, and that, to me, is the future of medicine. And that's not the future of medicine. Like, that's the highest level, because now I can combine Ayurvedic methodologies, TCM, the 7 disciplines of the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, and I can blend that with biometric-based device. I mean, you can hear, I can feel it. I'm getting so pumped up about this because it's not there yet. Trust me, it's not there yet, but it's going to be there. And I know that it's not going to be more than 10 years away. So wait till you see what I'm doing. Now, again, this isn't me. This is not just me. I'm not an engineer. I'm not. I don't have an engineer's mind. I don't have an engineer's mind. So my job is to be able to work with engineers and developers to say, this is what I'm looking for. This is what's going to best help our integrative health practitioners, functional medicine doctors, other doctors out there. And it will even work with medications. Like, listen, is this lowering your blood pressure effectively? Is this the right dosage? I mean, again, I want to help everybody. I know that most people are not like us. If you listen to my last Monday's show, you'll know that on what to do, when no one understands. I hope that you listen to that show. But most people aren't like us. They're not trying to find the healthy answer. They would just say, listen. And that's why, listen. I mean, a lot of my actual private concierge wellness clients are doctors too. They really are. They're medical doctors and people in the health-based field. And they come to me and say, I'd love to be able to do what you do, and I want to do what you do, and I want to understand. One is I don't have the time, meaning you're only allotted 15 minutes with your patient. But the other is that a lot of people just want the pill. They just want the medication. So I get it. Listen, I understand the predicament they're in, and that's why I never fault doctors. I fault the system. Don't ever think that I'm talking negatively about a medical doctor. I am not. At no point. Even the dermatologists who nearly killed me when I was 17 years old, starting at 14. Not his fault. That's what he was taught. Okay? Not his fault. It's what he was taught. Listen, I get it. I understand. But it's the system. And so we need a better system, right? But I still want to be able to help the people who are not really ready yet to help themselves. At least I can help them maybe monitor the best dosage for them working with their medical doctor. So I probably did a little too long of a rant on this. I'll probably keep talking about it in the future, but I'm excited for it. And that's why, again, wherever you're at right now in your life, and if you love your job, you love what you do, I do, there can be levels to it. And I know that 10 years from now, that's where I want to be. So anyway, thank you for letting me divulge and talk a little bit about this, the field that I'm so passionate about, and certainly the field of natural health that gave me my health back. So appreciate you. Have an amazing rest of the weekend, and make sure you tune back in tomorrow for our Motivation and Mindset Monday. It's also Cyber Monday, so there might be some things going on too over at equilibriumnutrition.com. So always stay tuned with our health-based community. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.